Ajay is my name, and the group that we co-founded is called Rangi Changi Roots. And just a little bit about the name. Rang means color in Hindi, Punjabi, and Nepalese. Rangi Changi is a play on words like pachachkar. We also use gup shop or like chips choops or coke shoke. We just rhyme words in different languages. Many languages do that. So this means diversity of color, Rangi Changi. So Rang on its own means color, and then Rangi Changi is the diversity of color. And then the beauty of our yin yang name is that we have roots. So even though there's a ball of energy, which is more on my side, we also have roots. And so there's a lot of people who root and help us reflect and help us connect. And I think one of our missions is to show that any movement that we move forward on needs to ensure that everyone has roots, and then we move forward. If certain people aren't rooted, then we're excluding people and we're going to go in the wrong direction. So we want to ensure everyone's included in whatever capacity, and then we move forward. And in terms of all the diverse views that come forward. So that's our mission in terms of the green movement, saying that, you know, we see it moving in the Western world, but we see a lot of people not being part of that in the green economy, especially in the States. So we've mirrored sort of Green for All sort of as our mandate. So there's a group in the States that help Hispanics and Blacks move forward with the green economy and trying to give that sort of social justice, poverty movement sort of voice. And so for us, it's to do the same thing in Canada. We're starting, of course, locally in Vancouver. That's our base and that's our root. And then doing small, little effective changes here. One of our, I like to say metrics. Since it's on camera, I have to be careful. But we hope to be somehow affiliated with this. We do dialogue series. So one of the great things that we want to do is pair up social justice groups and eco-justice groups. So we have these amazing movements, and we find that they haven't been holding hands along the way, helping each other grow collaboratively. So Immigrant Settlement Services, for instance, working with, like, say, the Wilderness Committee or David Suzuki Foundation. How can we help Oxfam partner more? So like the Vancouver People Summit, and Sarah knows all this. We did the Bridge to a Cool Planet, and this is one of the offshoots, is Rangi Changi, because we wanted to make equity as one of our principles moving forward, and Vancouver People Summit was the other one. But moving forward, we want to ensure that continues. And the coolest success stories, we had one dialogue, and we had people from Immigrant Settlement Services in the crowd, and we had David Suzuki Foundation people in the crowd, even though we had speakers. 2 months later, we see David Suzuki put out a call for a South Asian outreach worker and a Chinese outreach worker. First time in the history, they're national sort of like outreach individuals, and their point is to reach out to those communities and have a two-way dialogue of learning. So that's really exciting for us to say. Hopefully it was related to one of our dialogues to get people talking and learning from each other and continue that fostering and just being that, you know, I guess the platform or the base or the foundation for this to grow. And I think that's our goal, sort of what Maureen's doing around setting up a platform that allows a lot of different diverse groups to come together and let that organically grow and blossom. And if you have that amazing foundation, it will grow. You can't have it on cement, you can't have it in plastic. It has to be, you know, with Mother Nature, and so that's what we're trying to do. So it would be great to see an Immigrant Settlement Service or something on the social justice side, like say Pivot, get something on the green side as well. So like a green outreach worker apply for a grant that's more green related. So then that partnership really happens internally, but also they do collaborative work as well. And everything goes in steps, so we can't criticize these movements, we just keep moving. So, of course, I was like, oh, David Suzuki Foundation, you should be doing it this way, not just targeting certain groups, it should be more inter. But anyways, that's the next stage. I can't, you know, we can't say anything on that behalf. But one of the things that we do want to say in terms of our platforms of dialogue, online and offline, is that we really promote so intercultural and intergenerational and interdisciplinary, anything inter. We love that stuff. And I think that's where the real learning comes, because we all work in our silos, we all have to apply for grants or work with people or apply for, you know, different things, and we get really distracted with actually how we can actually grow in a way that really fosters what's happening around us in Mother Nature and what she's taught us. So just a little story of me. I grew up in Winnipeg and I came out here in '96. My mother's from Delhi and my dad was from Jammu Kashmir. So I'm I guess, second generation or first generation. What am I? First generation? No,
first generation.
Yeah, first generation. I say that because I get confused because my friends, there's a 1.5 generation And there's this huge movement, because I'm in social media, around like, you know, like you have websites and like Word and stuff that say like 2.0 and 3.0. So we say identity is also ever evolving. So even though we say we're part of a certain group or community, it's ever evolving. So my South Asian identity is like at its whatever 1.5 sort of movement, and then we're going to 2 and 3 and beta and all these like ever evolving and moving around and stuff, and that's the fun part, right? The process. So that's why I get confused about first generation, second generation. And I also get confused because I'm like, what does that mean when it's, you know, First Nations land, right? And our next dialogue series for 2011 is to do that partnership between First Nations and immigrant communities, and all of us are immigrants actually, in the stable, I assume. But the point is to foster that dialogue. And the other goal is to do promoting eco-champions, diverse eco-champions. So we've had a couple of amazing dialogue series already, and what we've heard from people and community, the award that we should really award this year is grandmothers, and the Grandmother Award. Right? So having a respect back to our grandmothers, and really like learning from them. And so I kind of said it in the video, but the point is that I live in East Vancouver, and I take the 8 Fraser bus all the time, and there's this amazing elder Chinese lady who comes in with these huge bags of pop cans and bottles. And I'm like, oh, and then I see her picking them up all over the place. And she's our elder, right? And I'm like, huh. And I see people like moving away and like calling her stinky, and I'm like, not really respecting her. And I'm like, this woman is cleaning up.
That's your minutes free.
She's cleaning up after all our mess. And this is the thanks we give her? This is sad as society. What have we done? And on the other end, in the Western world, what are we doing? We're locking them up, and I say locking them up on purpose, in long-term care and medicating them till death. Like 80% of their budgets go to like home care and drugs at this age. Like, and it's so wrong, because what we've learned from our elders in the past is the stories and all this wisdom, and we're doing the opposite. And for us is to now bring back that respect. So instead of looking down at this Chinese elder lady, is to now look up at her and thank her for what she's doing and taking care of us at that societal level. Thank you for taking our mess, and you know, we really want to, you know, respect you and tell others to respect you as well, because that's what we've lost, and we want to connect back at that level. So that's our diversity co-champion. Anyway, so back to us, I should also mention, so there's 5 of us on the board, and I think Sarah knows some of us, but there's Laura Hernado, and she works with Gregor Robertson now, but prior to that she was doing a lot of intercultural communication work, and she's Filipino background herself. Paola Murillo, she works with Latin Vancouver, and she's bringing together the different Latino communities, and it's really exciting, her work as well. But I'll just say the other 2 names, Kate Costello and Kevin Washbrook. So Kate's an amazing, like, compassionate being, and she's taught me a lot about being a mother and like how she is a mother, and how to take care of things. And then Kevin's an action-oriented, you know, and I think he came at the last one, right? Kevin, yeah. So voters taking action for climate change and engaging civil society into doing things more in like those action circles. But Paula is amazing, because she's come here and she's trying to find root. She couldn't find it, so she set up it herself with technology and set up LatinVancouver.com. And in the home countries, many of these countries don't get along in terms of the government. So Chile, Peru, Guatemala. But here, they're so small in number and they're so isolated. The connection to them is the Latino culture and the culture of their South America and Central America. So they've come together this way. And it's really amazing to see that new power of Vancouver Latino community versus Latino community. So it's really exciting, and she's told us amazing stories, and she's really on a mission to connect those groups more and help them set up root. So it's amazing to have her on our board and help us with that viewpoint. So yeah, in terms of moving forward, it's our diversity co-champions, and hopefully having foster dialogue around First Nations and immigrants. And I should say on a personal note, so my father, trained as an engineer, came from India, and of course in Winnipeg, coming to Canada, what does he do? And I say this jokingly, but I also say it seriously. He opened up the first Indian restaurant because he couldn't find anything. And I say that in a good way though, because there's nothing wrong with connecting on food. It's so exciting, right? So what the Western world taught India is to have all these trained professions, but everyone connected on food prior to. And how do people connect when they set up somewhere new? And this is how, it's really interesting.
Awesome.
Yeah. And we moved to Vancouver, and I guess that was a big change for us from suburbia to Vancouver, because he tried to wash off his culture and live in Winnipeg and try to do the branding of it as well. So, you know, we drive the 2 cars, we had to fit in, you know, all those kind of things. So then coming to Vancouver helped us root again. So it's really nice. So it's really fun having dialogues with my dad about these things. So he's in Mexico right now, couch surfing.
Kite surfing?
Couch surfing. So he's sleeping on people's couches that are from the ages of 20 to 35. It's an online movement of 9 million people, and people share each other's couches. That's what we do in our culture. Yeah.
You're a parent?
Yeah, it's amazing. He's 67 and he's just living life, and it's making me jealous.
Awesome.
But he's in Belize at the moment, but he was just in Chiapas beforehand, and he was in Oaxaca before that. And he took his masalas, like Indian cooking, and he's now, like, basically they hosted him, so he's like showing them how to, you know, cook Indian cuisine.
Cool.
It's so exciting. Yeah, he writes these cute emails to us, and he's trying to pick up Spanish, so it's like a little bit of Spanish in there, and he does type like this, but it's cute. It's really awesome. I love my father now. It's like, I always did, but I'm just saying, at different levels, you just get so amazed with different people in your family and what they do. Anyway, so that's what we're trying to do in ours, is bring back the family in Rangi Changi. We're all a family.